Okay, so you're looking for cheap land in Florida, whether to build a home or whatever, it does not matter. Well, in this video, I'm gonna tell you exactly where to look, how to go about getting cheap land to build that dream house, and so much more. And we'll get into it right now. So, you're looking to move to Florida and you wanna get some cheap land. Look, I actually have gone through the process and I'm actually finishing the process of building my home in Florida. And while I am a real estate agent, I've learned a lot along that journey. And so what I wanna do is I wanna share with you, how do you go about finding land? Because sure, a lot of land is sold with agents like myself, but a lot more is also sold not with me. Land is one of those weird things here in the United States where they can go 1,000 different ways. And if you don't know where to look, how to go about it, you're gonna be completely lost in that process. So I'm gonna cover everything right now. But the biggest thing is you gotta make sure your budget. So before I get into how to find the land, you have to be aware of some things when it comes to getting land. So one of the things is land typically is an all cash business. Meaning you're not just getting a mortgage for land. Now loans do exist. You can find private loans and hard money and stuff like that, but we're not getting into that right now. The overall concept is, unless you're building a home, most likely you're gonna have to be all cash on that land, so be aware of that. And obviously, property taxes are gonna be a lot lower because it's just a raw piece of land, so also be aware of that. The weird thing about land is you have to make sure you know what you're getting into. And because land is a very finicky. It's not just about location, it's also about can you actually even build on that piece of land? Because every piece of land has different zoning for the county it's in. Every piece of land has environmental issues that you have to be aware of and make sure you get surveyed. You have to make sure that the lot's actually true from the seller. You have to make sure you get a surveyor out there to make sure the property's correct in terms of size and what they're saying it should be. A lot of things going on with land that if you're not aware of it, you have to be careful. So the biggest thing I tell anyone when it comes to looking for, before you even look for cheap land, you have to make sure you're aware of what you're getting into. Because I'm telling you, land is not for the faint of heart. And especially if you're looking at building, also not for the faint of heart. Actually, if you look on this channel, I have other videos regarding building a new home in Florida, not in a community, but a standalone home. That's actually what I did before I moved here. So you have to be aware that there's a lot of special things you need to be aware of. So let's cover briefly some of the top counties that you can find cheaper land in Florida. Now this isn't an exact list, it's not perfect. These are just some counties that you can potentially find good deals in. So the first one is gonna be Putnam County. Now Putnam, it's really hit and miss whether this is gonna be a county you wanna live in or not, but all these counties they have their pros and their cons. Ultimately, I'm just gonna go through this list real quick, but what it is each county obviously has a lot of sinkholes and flooding and things like that. So be aware that it's Florida. So not all these counties on this small list, and there is no ranking order. It's just like a general list I've compiled of areas that might be able to give you the best opportunity for that kind of land. So Putnam's one. You have Dixie County. You can go ahead and look this up as I'll go ahead. Maybe I'll pull up photos on the screen while I go through it. You have Dixie County is another good opportunity. Marion County, let me read this list right here. And then obviously the one I live in, which is Polk County. So Polk County, I'll talk on probably a little bit more. So I haven't lived in all these other counties, right? So take it with a grain of salt. But everything moving forward is my experience in Polk County, just so you're aware of. Now, the concept of what I'm going through still applies to any other county. The only thing that differs is maybe how more common sinkholes are, or flooding, or the bodies of water in the location. That's the only thing that changes, okay? Polk County is also a big county, so the tip of it on the north side is near Orlando, but it's a lot bigger heading south, and that's why you tend to get more areas. Obviously, remember, because you can find cheaper land, it's because you're generally in these counties, even if a part of the county is close to a major highway, that's not the place you're gonna find the cheapest land. Cheapest land is gonna be a lot farther away, more in the country, things like that. So be aware of that when I come to all these lists of counties I'm mentioning. You have to be aware that to find the cheapest land, you're gonna be going to definitely somewhere that's a little bit more deeper into the county.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I just want to take a quick second to let you know that we love dropping videos for you every single week, just like this, to help people like yourself make the move to Orlando, just like I did years ago. And Also, while you're watching this video and we drop information from you, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. But more importantly, if you're looking to make a move out here, obviously my name is Cameron Hodge with eXp Realty, and what I specialize with, me and my team, is helping people like yourself make that move to Orlando. But not just move here, actually move here and help you with the decisions that you need to make sure that you have a good life guaranteed when you get here. Because no one wants you to get here to like just make a bad decision and live in the wrong area and not make those right choices. So if that's you and you need help making that plan when making a move out here, this number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me and the team. Or if that's not fast enough, down in the description there is a Zoom link where you can schedule a one-on-one Zoom call with me. We can sit down and create that perfect plan for you. And again, thank you so much for watching the video, and let's get back to it.
Okay, so the first thing you can do when it comes to looking for cheap land is using your online resources. Now, that's weird because a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, you should definitely talk to a real estate agent. Now, if it's a good real estate agent who understands land like myself and my team, then absolutely you should reach out to us first, not just go to these online resources, because we'll do the same exact thing that you're gonna do, but we're gonna save you a heck ton of time in the process of doing it. So obviously, me and my team, our goal here is helping you move to the state of Florida. It doesn't matter where you're looking to move to, what you're trying to do, we are here to help you in that move, because it's a confusing process not knowing where you wanna live, or even if you do know where you wanna live, do you have the connection to help make those real estate decisions in that area you want to move to? And I don't care what area in Florida it is, where our team has continually expanded and grown to where now we cover the entire state of Florida. And we help people like yourself when it comes to finding land, especially building homes, because, well, I happen to have experience in it, and I went through a really rough process for multiple years trying to get that freaking home built. But you know, this number popping below, so I can get a hold of us, call, text, email, it does not matter. Reach out to us. Let's have a conversation to kind of walk through what you're trying to do and how we can help you in that move, and all the way from steps A to Z. Now, as we're talking with an agent who knows their salt, even if you're not and you want to go that path, so be it, that's fine. Some online resources that you need to be aware of when it comes to land are these ones as follows. So you have LandWatch. Obviously, LandWatch is a big one. It's not just going on sites like Zillow and Craigslist and things like that, but they all apply. LandWatch, Zillow, LoopNet. Obviously, if you don't want to use Zillow, you have Realtor.com. It's the same concept on that site, but you have Craigslist. You have all these places, Facebook Marketplace. I don't care where it is, but there are all these places to find these off-market land. And now the issue with that is you need to be aware that it's not simple. A lot of times when someone has already listed their lot on these sources, it might not be the cheapest, or if it is slightly cheaper, there's probably something wrong with it. So be aware that when land gets to that common source, you kind of got to figure out, you know, what's the best case scenario here for that lot. Because a lot of times there's probably some issues. You're not going to find like that $1,000 lot on these sites. The second thing you can do to find cheap land in Florida, and this is one of my favorites, is local connections and networks. So this could be Facebook groups that are local to the area. This could be your local communities. You can go to the county and find who's not paying their property taxes. Maybe you can get involved that way. Look, finding cheap land in this day and age, if you want to find it, you're gonna have to work for it. It's not just gonna be given to you. It's not just gonna be a matter of looking day one and finding that exact perfect scenario. You have to do your work. And local connections, people, you know, being a part of your community, talking to people in the local community. Maybe if you're moving to Florida, hey, you probably might not have that luxury yet, and that's okay. But once you get to Florida, I really encourage you to start making those local connections. Talk to people, and eventually you will find someone who has land. It just happens. You eventually will find someone who says, "Oh, I have a piece of land over here. My uncle does, or my aunt, whoever. It does not matter." Going to the county is a great place as well. So remember, all public records are public. Go figure. So one of the things you need to be aware of is all land, you can find the owner pretty easily. A lot of times you can even find up their address, right? I'm sorry if you're watching this, right? You probably always wondered, like, how the heck do real estate agents and investors get my information? Because it's public. Whether you like it or not, it is public information when you own real estate here in this country, land included. So some things I love to do is I love to find, like, let's say, you know, I find, you know, an area I want to live in. And you can just pull up Google Maps and you look at what area doesn't have, you know, houses built on it. And you can drive around that area. And when you find those lots, you can easily, there's a lot of resources you can pay for online. You can also go to the county sometimes and the tax assessor website. And you can try and find the public information for the owner, try and get a hold of them. A lot of times you at least get their mailing address. And the cool thing about that is now you can send them a letter. You can reach out to them, ask them if they're wanting to sell. When you find land off market, like even the seller of that land, they can finance it for you. You maybe don't need a mortgage. That seller of that piece of land, they can become the bank and finance it to you. You get it done by a lawyer. Always talk to a lawyer, of course. And you can get it done, set in stone, and you don't even have to worry about maybe putting cash out of your pocket. But all that starts with, local connections, networks, things like that. But I'm telling you, find those pieces of land. Like one little tip I love to do is I love to find lots that have road access, but then they have land behind them that's landlocked. So what is landlocked? Landlocked is when you have a piece of land that has no access to roads, without getting permission from other landowners, you cannot get to that piece of land. That's my favorite. Because now, even if the initial lot you buy is really tiny, well, now you can go to that homeowner behind yours and say, hi landowner, my name's Cameron. I'm reaching out because I just bought this lot and I noticed that yours is completely surrounded by land. I would like to buy it. And you might have to strong arm and be like, look, that's great. I'm never gonna give anyone permission to come across my land. Why? Because it's my land. Why would I give you permission to do that? And so ultimately you're putting yourself in the position where if they want to sell it, it's probably gonna have to be to you. So that's, it might seem a little rough, but that's the cool thing I love about those landlocked lots is there's no other use can be put for it, so why not make an extension to your house? Now, the third thing you can do is they always have auctions, which is like when people don't pay their taxes, it ends up going on auction. Sometimes there's other auction websites you can be a part of as well that will auction that. To be fair, if you see an auction, it's most likely gonna be a cash only for that piece of land. So be aware of that before you get into it. You also have, like we just talked about before, off-market properties. Off-market's always great opportunity. It just involves a little bit of work and process and really looking into and finding those pieces of land that people hold. Like sometimes people aren't paying a couple $100 a year in property taxes. They probably don't even realize that they still have the lot sometimes. So it's always good to reach out. You never know. You never know when you find the person who wants to sell you that lot. Now, you found the lot. Now we're gonna get back into the process of you figured out how to do it, whether it's a loan, seller finance, all cash, it does not matter. Now you're in a position where now you need to understand zoning. So if you don't know what zoning is, obviously when you buy a regular house, it is most likely residential zoning. The house where I live is going to be more rural zoning. Like I can do some small farming on my land, okay? So each piece of land has a certain things you're allowed to do with it. So this is public information. So when you find a lot, obviously once you get your offer accepted, you're in the process, just like a house, so you get your inspection period. You wanna pay for a surveyor to go out there. You wanna make sure that there's no tax liens on the property, which if you go to a good title company, they'll do that for you and that'll be part of your closing costs. You wanna make sure that, hey, is the zoning on the lot allow me to do what I'm gonna do? Now, if you're gonna build a home, I encourage you, before you even get to this step in the process, find the builder you're trusting to build your home and have them be a part of finding this piece of land, because they will most likely assist you in being like, yes, this can happen, or no, the house you wanted to build cannot happen on this lot. It helps a lot. It's like you get your team of experts. Obviously, as much research as you can. You want to find out when was the last time this area flooded? Is it prone to flooding? What's my insurance going to be for this property? Has there been any other major issues? Is there construction projects that are gonna be going on near this piece of land? Everything you can possibly find, you need to do your research, because land can be, I've had situations where clients will go to get land and it seems all well and good until we find out that half the property is an environmental zone to where you can't even build on it because it's considered wetlands, right? Good point on that topic. In the state of Florida, wetlands are areas that are protected for wildlife. So you need to be aware that if you're looking to buy land, that might be a hindrance to you when you go to do it, because it's probably gonna screw you, especially when you go to buy the piece of land and you find out 3/4 of the lot is wetlands. And then you have to hope that you can put in for the federal agency and get it removed, or at least partially removed. So you can do that. I can tell you lately from what I've seen, they have not been wanting to do that. So if it's wetlands, be aware that's probably gonna screw you. Now, if you do have enough space to build, that's okay. You can still walk in the wetlands. It's not like you can't touch that piece of land, right? You just can't build anything on it. Negotiation in this process, a lot of sellers want cash. So be aware that you gotta be careful, because land is a very Wild West thing going on. They're not always on the MLS. A lot of times with an agent. So a lot of times they're being sold by owner, things like that. And there are crazy people out there. I call them the crazies. Some people just want this insane price for the piece of land. Before you even pay cash for a piece of land, I want you to go on Zillow, Realtor.com. It doesn't matter where you go. and I want you to look the last 6 months to 12 months. And I want you to look, what has land been selling for per acre, or if it's less than an acre, per square foot in your area, okay? And try and find something that's similar to your lot, as close as possible in terms of size, grading, everything. Grading being how flat it is. And you wanna make sure that you understand, hey, is this price worth it? I tried to buy a piece of land here recently myself to expand my home, and the person comes back and they're like, yeah, we want 50 grand. Well, I did my research in the tax records. I was able to look back and I was able to find out, hell, the 4 lots that are next to mine, they paid 50 grand for all 4 of those last year. And they want me to pay all their money back in one lot? Yeah, you're crazy. Get the heck out of here. Because when I did my analysis, I'm like, this lot's lucky to be worth 25 grand right now. Because guess what? Half the lot is a wetland. You can't even build it. And I have proof in the public records that the government denied their right to remove that wetlands. So you have to do your research, because people will try and get you in every way, shape, and form. You cannot trust the seller when it comes to doing this process. It doesn't mean they're a bad person, but I'm telling you, you never know how you're gonna get screwed. And if I had decided to move forward on that, I may have been screwed in that process. So you gotta be very, very careful. Now, because that lot, they're lucky to build a 1,200, 1,000 square foot house. I know, I saw the plans. Then in that case, I'm like, good luck, I will take my chances. If they do not sell that lot a year later, guess who's gonna be coming back? This guy. So a lot of times it's just, land is not a quick process. It's a process where you have to be very diligent and specific about what you're trying to do. But if all that sounds kind of crazy and complicated, and you want a team that understands that and actually even has great builder connections to help you do that process, hey, it's number down below. You can call, text, email, it does not matter. Reach out to us. Let's have a conversation about how we can figure this out. How can we create your plan? Especially if you're looking to build a house, I promise you, having your team of professionals makes the job so much better. Until next time, guys, see you later.